thought that all of your work was going to be at the front of the trailer, but I've noticed something else is going on back here.
Over time, this mesh is going to start to stretch.
This is how the professionals install it. I really want to highlight this design. I did that wrong. I was incorrect. It is an exciting day for me this morning. I am up here in Stone Mountain, Georgia at the headquarters of Harp's Tarps. They're going to be installing their electric wind-up system on my dump trailer. We're going to see exactly how the professionals do it. You're not going to want to miss this. I promise. This is awesome. Let's go inside.
It's an 8-hour drive from Florida, and I'm only giving you a 30-second montage of our travel. But with any large family, you're going to have rest area stops, more than you can count. But that's okay. You can check your hubs, make sure they're not too hot. You can check your load, make sure it's still in there. And you can't drive past Buc-ee's on a trip like this. I mean, just look at this beef jerky wall. It's ridiculous.
Buc-ee's!
And I took the time to get these driving shots. Why waste those? Plus, I can show you I'm an awesome backer upper. And yeah, I sped these up, but I can confirm I did it in one shot. Didn't have to pull forward. So Nick, with the black collared shirt, you're going to hear from him more later. He gives me a whole tour. But first, him and Jimmy have to devise a plan on how they're going to tackle this install. Now, what I didn't realize is that part of their plan was to fix mistakes in my measurements when I installed this arm kit 3 months earlier. They saw that install video and knew that it was going to create some challenges for the installation they're doing today. So stay tuned, guys. You're going to want to see exactly how to measure so that you can avoid the same mistakes I made.
You go up to the roller.
To the center of the roller?
Yeah, to the center of the roller.
Okay, to the center of the roller.
So the center of the roller is 14 feet, 7 inches right now, your
Okay.
trailer.
Okay.
So when you decide how long your tarp needs to be, you need to figure out your length of the trailer and add 2 feet on it. That's
Okay.
how you decide what size tarp you need.
And what is the 2 feet? What is that?
So when you go in an arc,
Okay.
you need that extra
you
slack.
need the length for the arc. Okay. Okay.
Now when you decide where to mount your pin, your center of the truck, that's not the middle of your width.
Okay.
That's
so I did that wrong. I was incorrect.
Yes.
Okay.
So the manual have the first step, how to find the center point is, let's assume this is your point right now, but where
Okay.
we are planning to mount is right here. And you need 2 tape measure. 1 tape measure, you always clamp like that, assuming that your center is somewhere here.
Okay.
Okay, and then you clamp it, and then you hold your tape measure right here. Now you need another tape measure at the same time, clamped on a back end where you want to mount it.
Oh.
And then you grab that tape measure. When you grab 2 tape measures, just cross them to each other and find the same number where it's matching. If it
Boom.
match right here, if you move them anywhere, it will not move that straight line in any direction.
So you mean to tell me this was in the instructions?
Yes.
I didn't read the instructions that well.
Don't worry, the pace of this install is going to pick up and it's going to get more exciting to watch. But I want to give you context to what you're seeing here now. Jimmy is showing me this heavy-duty bracket that they manufacture and that they recommend to install on dump trailers like mine. Those of you who saw my install video saw me struggle with where I mounted the pin. It was too low, and the lower part of the tarp arm was hitting the fender. So I had to take it apart and put it back together one spring at a time. It was a nightmare. Would not recommend it. So listen to Jimmy explain how this bracket cures that issue.
You don't need to weld it. You have 6-hole position mounting. You can use any 2 bolts. Bolt it down. Put a bolt from bottom, so that way none of the exposed bolt ever come in contact with your tire. It always have a
Okay,
head
so
in the
you're
bottom.
actually bolting this to your fender.
Yes.
Which that would work because this is a
Yes.
very heavy-duty
Yeah.
fender. Okay.
And then instead of welding it, you can mount your pin here.
Guys, this is a heavy-duty bracket. I mean, there is nothing chintzy about that.
Now, while I'm here, I'm filming 2 videos simultaneously. You may have seen the first one, which was a full factory tour of Harp's Tarps. I take you all around, I learn about the products they manufacture, also what their process is to get those products to you guys, the consumer. The second video is the one you're watching currently. So I couldn't do 2 things at once, so that's why I've got you on time lapse right now. And a special thank you to Michael, who kept the camera rolling and getting you some different angles. But don't worry, we get some close-up footage of good information. The team members are going to tell us exactly the how and the why you need to install their product a certain way. So the first step was to get my roller and old tarp out of there. I'm actually getting a brand new tarp from Harp's Tarps. It's much heavier duty. We're going to see some of that later. Then they have to install the brackets and the motor up top. That will allow them to do all the measurements for the wiring to go all the way to the back of the trailer and then forward, where they can get the switch and the solenoid installed so we can operate the motor.
So guys, I've only been here about 45 minutes, but the 45 minutes I've been here, these guys have been mowing over my trailer. I mean, every square inch, pulling the tape out. We're not doing things in round inches. We're down to the 16th of an inch. There's a precision here that I'm seeing that I don't typically operate under, but of course I appreciate that's just how the professionals want to do it.
Usually we won't do an install where it's lifted up like this, just because even though it is hydraulics and it should stay up, people tend to think, oh, it's really safe to get under there. I would avoid that whenever possible.
100% right.
Most trucks don't have these, especially the big dump trucks.
Yeah.
None of them will have the kickstands.
Yeah.
And when it's a 16,000 pound steel
you're
dump
done.
bed, even the 8x4 is not going to hold that thing up. Yeah, so if you imagine a wire connected to the motor where it's going to get rolled up at, running straight to the battery and the switch, when you raise it up, that whole thing is stretching. So it's just going to eventually pop out and totally mess up a battery. So instead what it's got to do is it's actually got to run from the battery back to kind of the hinge point. So you've got a hinge point here, and you've got a hinge point at the back. And then it goes from there back up along the body of the dump bed. So that instead of stretching and pulling the wire, it's fully opening in the way that it's not going to end up popping anything out or causing any damages. So that's what Jimmy's doing right now, is he's just trying to figure out where in these tubes is the best place to put the wire so it's not going to interfere with any brake lines, brake lights, wires, and it's going to kind of look better when it's out of sight and out of mind. Less problems in the future. There's really 2 ways or 3 ways that you can win a customer: quality, service, or price. Made in the US, it's almost impossible that we're going to win on price, but we can beat everybody else on service and quality. And so things like this, rather than going with some cheap aluminum plate, this is actually galvanized steel. So if you ever have something that bumps the arms, especially if you've got a side loader or a back loader, it's going to smash this and it's just going to rip and bend those aluminum plates. So we go with something that's really going to be up to task.
What Nick just said there, we know is the truth. These things are used and abused. I mean, there is probably no trailer that takes a harder life than a dump trailer. And what's cool about all of this is Harp Tarps sell these as replacement parts. This isn't a gotcha. This isn't a buy a kit and damage one part of it and have to buy the whole kit. If you were to damage that bracket, you can buy just the bracket. So guys, I really want to highlight this keyway. This is so important. It does a couple of things for us. Number one, we don't have to drill holes in our tarp anymore. That's going to allow this to last a lot longer because we can use Harp's Tarps. They have built-in grommets. Their grommets are made with fasteners, special fasteners to anchor to this point. So no tearing the fabric with screws like I had to do with this tarp. And then the other thing that's really awesome is it's going to make sure that tarp is perfectly true, perfectly centered on this roller. And if you don't think that's important, guys, it really is, because you could be off just that much on your roller. As centered as you think you are, by the time you roll that 18 feet up, your arms will come back crooked. Ask me how I know.
When something's off for a little bit and you end up with your arms coming in something kind of like this, over time, especially with an electric motor that's going to put way more torque on this roller bar than you can crank with a hand, over time, this mesh is going to start to stretch, and each time you roll it up, it's going to stretch a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until eventually that problem where it's off by a little bit is going to be off by a lot, and then it's just going to cause headaches down the line.
So if you've got that little problem, like Nick said, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So that little keyway they put in there, guys, they figured it out.
So what we've got here, it's a 600 watt motor. We've got a couple of different sizes. It just kind of depends on whatever size these trailers are. So on something like this with an 8620 on it, it's not super long. It doesn't need some of our higher power motors. So if it were something like a 30 or 40 foot trailer, then it would move up into territory of a 900 watt motor. And Then if it's something really big where it's got a ton of force on it, like see side-to-side roll tarp like grain trailers, you can get into like a 1200 watt motor instead. So it's just adding up depending on what's going to be demanded from it.
And some of that torque demand that you're talking about, I would imagine it's coming both from the weight of the tarp, but also these arms are not all equal in that they have different spring counts in them.
Yeah. So on something like this, there's 3 torsion springs on each side. And if you get into something like at 30 foot, you'll have 5. At 40, you'll have 7. So it's just as you're adding these springs on and it's adding more torque to it, then that's when you actually need more power to kind of resist against that. But if you didn't have it, there's not really a need for it because this.
Oh yeah, no, there's not. So guys, let me double down on this here. I can tell you right now, the 3 springs in my size trailer, you would not want 5 or 7. You just absolutely do not need it. It's hard to even lift this thing up. Obviously, if I were to, for some reason, want 5 or 7, now I'm having to up my motor size, which you were telling me just completely unnecessary. I'm just wasting money at that point. So guys, reach out to Harp's Tarps, call their tech department. They're super helpful, super knowledgeable. They can take you step by step through exactly what your trailer is, what type of tarp you're running, and what you need, and get you outfitted and out the door. Guys, I just want to point out a few things here that I'm noticing, okay? And remember, I'm not the technician here, but I'm just looking at the quality of this wire. This is a 10 gauge wire that they're going to be using on the trailer. This is nothing chintzy. Always be mindful of voltage drop, whether it's in your house or in a DC application like that. Voltage drop, too thin a wire can cause heat, can lead to fire, can lead to problems. So Nick off camera was telling me that they were doing a much larger trailer. Obviously that's a larger run. They're going to use a lower gauge wire, maybe even a number 6 or number 8. Again, all relative to the trailer. But again, these guys do it right. So Pablo's drilling holes behind me for the solenoid.
Yes, so this is the reversing solenoid. So the system that we're installing on yours, it's actually actuated by a solenoid just like this. So on the inside of this box here at the front, when you get towards that, we'll show you what the switch looks like. But it's a lot easier because you click a switch in one way, it'll send 12 volts to one of these poles, and then that'll send the full amperage from the battery directly to the motor. So you're not actually running any of that high amperage through the switch itself. It'll extend the lifetime of it, and it'll save you a lot of headache, and it's a lot easier to install than some of the other rotary switch options that are available.
So guys, this is how the professionals install it with a solenoid, not just through the switch. Thanks guys, I'm glad we're doing it the right way. Well guys, you can clearly see they're getting ready to put the tarp on, but just before that, they hit the little button and it made it spin. It was awesome, I don't know, I'm just like a little kid. So excited to see this thing in operation. I thought that all of your work was going to be at the front of the trailer, but I've noticed something else is going on back here. What did I get you into?
Okay, so one of the things that you had mentioned in your video was that the crossbar was way too long and it came out, I can't remember what you said, something like 14 feet.
You'd be clear out into the other lane of traffic, so I don't know why they would give you two that long.
And we were puzzled a little bit, and like, that's not possible. We don't give enough material. And we realized, especially on these short trailers, it can seem a lot more natural to put those 51-inch pieces as what we call the upper arm. So it's what telescopes and slides into the spring-loaded portion that's already assembled. And then it clicked. So it's actually supposed to be the longer 76-inch piece that should go in there, and the two 51-inch pieces are what would form that, we call it the crossbar, that comes across the back and goes into the pocket at the back of the tarp. So we're just kind of getting everything so it's fixed up a little bit, because you can see here, there's a big gap here, and when the longer the stretches of this smaller material, it's just not going to be quite as strong. So when it's able to get closed up a lot tighter, it's just it'll last you a bit longer, and anybody who's watching, it'll last you a bit longer as well.
Yeah, so Nick is being really kind. Guys, if you've ever done that project where you get done putting it back together and there's an extra bolt left over, you did something wrong, and I didn't pick up on it. He's exactly right about the video that he's recalling. I'll put a link to that one in the description. You will see my frustration in the back. In fact, I kind of had this tone like, what does this company, they don't know what they're doing. And here we are, being corrected as I should be. So pay attention, guys. Either way, this held up. Even how I incorrectly installed it, never had any issues with it. Obviously, we're not recommending that. Nick wants all of us to do it exactly as they've engineered it and designed it.
every single fabric we have, and that's all of the rolls over there, it's all has UV additive, so it's going to be
UV
protected.
rated, it's going to hold up.
Yeah, we've got some people that will use these tarps for 10 years or more.
Wow, wow.
Maybe
Yeah.
not the mesh on the dump truck, but some of the heavy vinyl stuff.
Well,
Definitely.
but I can tell you I haven't even come close to half of that at 5 years with these. So you get what you pay for, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and that's where the value proposition really comes in, because if you think, I've done this, it's kind of a pain in the butt to replace a tarp.
Yeah.
Just because you got to bring it out, you got to take everything apart, and then you got to pay for a new tarp, unhook it from the roller bar, unhook it from the backside. So if you can get twice the life out of something,
Right.
it's really going to add up over time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and if you're getting twice the life out of it, it's holding up better. Oh, how do I want to articulate this? Like, for example, this has got this little hole in it.
Yep.
It's not to say that this can't tear, but by the time you decide to be done with this, maybe the problem is here,
Yeah.
but the problem inside, in between the two mounting points, it may have 30 holes in it where this one may have 5.
And most people, when you see a hole or a little rip or something like that, there's plenty of life on it. It's what's going to stop that from growing and progressing and getting bigger,
exactly
and
what it
then
does.
all of a sudden a little hole turns into a run that comes all the way across, and now it's cattywampus, and it's actually unusable at that point.
Right.
Try to stretch this versus,
Yeah, you can feel it. Oh, yeah. Wow, okay.
so you usually
right.
these are the cheap ones, they're 8 to 10 ounce
Yeah.
mesh material, so this is 13 ounce. So ounce just means ounces per square yard, so it's just a measure of kind of how heavy the fabric is.
Okay.
So we have anything
So
from...
it's not necessarily an indication of its tensile strength or durability.
No.
Okay.
So that's a different thing. So that's in thread denier.
We put all these different metrics on our tarps to try to rank them, but sometimes you just need to feel it. If I grab this and I squeeze it, you guys are not going to be able to tell on camera, but you're just going to have to trust me. If I squeeze it, it's pliable. It's got a stretch to it. You can just feel it. You can feel it coming apart. Guys, this is ridiculously strong. I mean, there is just no give whatsoever. It is absolutely different, yet this is a 13-ounce fabric, and this is a 18-ounce fabric. So be mindful of that. It's not always telling the story.
As the guys put the final touches on the project, it's a good time for us to say thank you to them. All three were awesome to work with. Jimmy, he oversaw the entire project. Pablo seemed to have his hand in every aspect of the build. And Michael, he was not only our cameraman helper, but he did all the metal fab work, correcting the rear bar that I messed up. Let's pull this thing out into the parking lot so we can finally see this thing work in all directions in real speed, and you can see just how nice this system is. And then of course, we'll close out the video.
There goes nothing.
Do it.
It's good. Oh man, that is sweet.
Much easier than the cranking, right?
A lot easier than the cranking. Assume the Captain Morgan position. Stone it. Wow. It's quiet. Basically no noise. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed seeing the install. Not me this time, but the professionals install this electric motor. I can tell you, it feels amazing. It is fast. Hopefully that's coming through on camera. Special thanks to Anna Maria, who invited me up here, and Nick, who gave us a tour and all the details of the parts that go into this high quality equipment. Nick, why don't you let the folks know how they can reach you?
Yeah, you can come find us on our website, and by all means give us a call. I mean, as you've seen here, it's not that difficult, but if there's anything strange that you might run into, we've got a lot of talented people here who would love to help you out and make it as easy of a process as possible.
Yeah, guys, I can testify. Everyone I met here today was super friendly, super knowledgeable about the product, and they are here to help you. Make sure you reach out to their tech department with your questions. Watch one of these other videos right here. I've got some other links in the description related to the Harp Tarp install my way. Also, for a full shop tour, check those out as well. And remember, guys, spend time with your creator. He loves you, he wants to hear from you, and we will see you on the next one.